All right, we've gone the first hour and 32 minutes of the program guessing at the importance of tonight's Panthers game and kind of understanding it, but now Doug Plagens is here. We have an actual expert who can join us, and he's laughing at the terminology expert, but listen, look at me and Crowder and Tree, and you are obviously the expert in this situation.
I have a tie on.
Doug Plagens is the radio voice for the Florida Panthers. The only local broadcast tonight is on 560 WQAM. The game is on ESPN if you want to watch it. Plagens, explain to us and the listeners the situation. We think we have it, which is it's either going to be Boston or Florida as your Atlantic Division champions, and it's either for the Panthers going to be Toronto or Tampa as your round one opponent. But the Bruins tonight play at 7.
Yep.
Panthers drop the puck at 7:30. So by the third period, the Panthers will already have some clarity as to if they're still in play to get the 1 seed, but explain it all to us like we don't know anything about what we're talking about, which, by the way, we don't.
That's one of those you wonder, too, in the event that you get to that point, does that information make its way down to the bench? Does it? How could it not? You would imagine, or it gets on the scoreboard, depending on what the outcome there is with Boston and Ottawa.
Because if they win, it doesn't matter what the Panthers do.
That would be step one here. The Bruins and Senators, they play in Boston at 7 o'clock. Boston obviously has something on the line here. Ottawa's been out of this thing for a while. They are still a dangerous team. They can score, and you wonder when a team like that goes in playing loose at the end of a season, sometimes that can work against you. But if the Boston Bruins win that game, doesn't matter.
What happened last season with the Blackhawks and
well, that was a couple days before the season ended, but the Blackhawks beat the Penguins, which ultimately helped the Panthers get over the hump and get in.
What was going to be a certain Penguins
and everybody
victory.
thought that the Blackhawks had blown their chances at Connor Bedard by getting that win, and well, things worked out fine for them. But as far as tonight goes, Boston hosting Ottawa at 7 o'clock. Now, if Boston wins that game, doesn't matter if it's regulation, overtime, shootout. If Boston gets 2 points, it locks the whole thing in. The Bruins win the division if they win that game in any fashion. They need to win it, though, because say Boston gets 1 point in that game or Boston comes up empty. All the Panthers have to do is tie the Bruins. They're 1 point back. So the Panthers just have to tie Boston in points, and the Panthers would win the division. So for the Boston Bruins, they win the division, they lock it up, and then it's the Bruins and the Lightning, and then it's the Panthers and the Leafs come round one of the Stanley Cup playoffs. If Boston loses that game, then the door is open for the Panthers, depending on what took place, whether Boston got 1 point or they ended up with nothing. The Panthers entering tonight are 1 point back of the Bruins. So, for example, Boston gets 1 point. The Panthers win this game in any fashion. They end up with the same point total. The Panthers win the division. Boston loses that game in regulation, gets nothing. The Panthers end up with 1 point tonight. Say they lose in a shootout to Toronto or something. They end up tied in points. The Panthers win the division. But again, Boston beats Ottawa tonight, and the discussion's over. Boston wins the division, and the Panthers would then play Toronto.
And the division winner
will
play Toronto.
Division winner is the division winner will play the first wild card team, which is the Lightning.
I'm sorry. The division winner. Right.
The second place team is going to play the Leafs.
Is there theoretically Boston say, hey, we don't want to win tonight. We'd love to just hand it to the Panthers.
So what's interesting here, if I'm looking at it, I guess taking this a couple of different directions. I'm always finish with the best record you can, win your division. That extra bit of home ice, that could matter. That could matter come round 2. If the Panthers win the division, of course, you got to win round 1 first. But you get to round 2, say they're playing Boston in round 2, you'd rather have that extra home game. I think. I always think, especially if you play a first-round series that runs deep and then you don't have to get on a plane to go somewhere else. You can either head home or you can just be home when that second-round series starts. I think there's some value to that, and I think having the extra home game, having another game in front of your home fans, having the potential to have a Game 7 on home ice, I still think all of that matters.
But, Doug, I understand that, but I can't even say his name right, Vasilevsky, whatever his name is, makes 742 saves one of these games this season. Do we want to see the Lightning? I know historically, they knocked us out of the playoffs 2-3 years in a row, but do we want to play the Lightning?
So I don't think there's a big enough disparity between the Lightning and the Leafs for anybody to get overly concerned one way or the other. I think if you're looking at the two, Ilya Samsonov for Toronto has had his numbers are better. His numbers lately, back half of the season, he had a rough go of it early. Went down to the American Hockey League, came back. He's gotten back on track lately. He's been really good. He had some stretches there, maybe played some of the best hockey of his career. Now, the Panthers have knocked Ilya Samsonov teams out of the playoffs the last 2 years. He was Washington's goalie 2 years ago. He was with the Leafs last season, started that series, was ultimately replaced by Joe Woll during it. But the Panthers have had some success against him in the big games. Andrei Vasilevskiy, obviously, we've talked about it a million times. Best goalie of this era, this last 5 to 7 year period, he's right there in that discussion. He's a future Hall of Famer. This season, though, didn't have a training camp, had a surgery in the offseason, didn't debut until the end of November. So he, like I said, didn't have a camp. You could argue that he's been stronger as the season's gone along. He does not have your typical Vasilevskiy numbers this season, and he didn't look totally right in the playoffs for them last year. But we've all seen in certain sample sizes what he can do. And I think if you're looking at those two potential opponents, Andrei Vasilevskiy over Ilya Samsonov in a playoff series, I think Tampa Bay would have the advantage there. Offensively, both teams really gifted. Tampa Bay might have the better high-end defenseman and a guy like Victor Hedman, who's going to chew up about 30 minutes a night in a playoff game as long as he's healthy. And on the other side, the Leafs, you could argue that Toronto, their depth on defense might actually be a little bit stronger than the body of work of the overall six that Tampa Bay can throw out there on a given night. Again, health, if health is 100%. I don't think there's enough of a difference between the two teams. I think you just go in, get the best record you can, and just see how it goes from there. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Tampa Bay Lightning, both really good teams, both teams that are capable of winning a round in their own right. Like I said, it speaks to the overall depth of the National Hockey League. I think the pool of contenders in this league this season, there are 8 to 10 teams that I would almost say that are top-end contenders, and there are teams that are top-end contenders that could be going home in round one. For example, Colorado and Winnipeg. These teams are going to play each other. One of them is not going to live past round one, and those teams are both good enough to win a Stanley Cup. So it's a deep league. It just speaks to the overall competitiveness that there is.
I don't want to sound scared, but I think Panthers fans have PTSD when it comes to the Lightning,
and I get
forgetting about last season, but with Vasilevskiy, we just have some PTSD. I know I read that Paul Maurice said they're going to win tonight. They're trying to win tonight. Carter Verhaeghe's going to play tonight. Yep. Is it Bobrovsky? It's Stolarz.
Stolarz will play tonight. That was part of the Paul Maurice said today. This was part of the plan that they had. They want to get just in managing the workload. And we've talked about that on the show quite a bit. And I would imagine I'm not in those conversations, but when you have two guys playing as well as these two have all season, and when you have a backup who's posted numbers like Anthony Stolarz has this year, it makes it that much easier to be able to go back and forth, depending on what's on the line. And I'm excited for Anthony Stolarz to get the opportunity tonight. And this was something that they had planned out. This was a game that Anthony Stolarz was going to get, it sounded like, as they ramp up to the playoffs. And good for him to get into another game because, if Bobrovsky had played 3 straight going into the playoffs, and then you get into it, and all of a sudden, maybe Anthony Stolarz ends up having to come into a game. You don't want him to be too far removed from his last action. The same thing with Carter Verhaeghe. This goes a long way, I think. He's missed the last 7. They like where he is right now, and it's great to be able to get him into a game before you get to game 83. Has
Boston though said that they are going for the win tonight? Are both teams approaching this? We don't.
I absolutely. I mean, I not having heard what Jim Montgomery said earlier today, but I would be shocked if anybody said anything different than we would like to win our division.
Well, you can telegraph it though with who's going to play or we're going to rest.
Yeah, haven't seen the lineup for Boston yet, but I would imagine, especially the other thing. The way this thing's set up, and we don't know exactly when game 1 will be for any of these series, but the Panthers and the Bruins are both done tonight. And I don't think anybody would want to go almost a week without playing a game, depending on when game 1 ends up being. So I think a lot of guys are going to want to be in the game tonight. I just think that would be important to a lot of guys.
And this is kind of off subject, but talking about Stolars, where there was we read an article. Was it George Richards, Stoley the goalie, was about to get paid? It was somebody we read, but it's like, so Alex Lyons last year, and he goes to Detroit, and now Stolars is about to go somewhere and start. Is that like a feather in the cap of the Panthers evaluation that you keep bringing these guys in, they ball, and then they have to go somewhere else and be a starter? Because Bob is Bob, but they brought in a number of goalies that can go off and start somewhere.
Well, I think, and again, we'll see how everything plays out there, but Anthony Stolars has come in and had a heck of a season. And just looking at it right now, 15-7-2 at 2.03 goals against, 926 save percentage. Those are outstanding numbers. And this will be his 27th game of the season tonight. So a pretty good split there for Bobrovsky and Stolars. 58 games for Bobrovsky, 27 for Stolars by night's end. But you look even further back, I think it speaks volumes about the work that Bill Zito and his his staff have done and identifying.
And he just got extended.
And that's great news that that he's going to be involved long term and everything like that. But to be able to find these players and goalies fall into that mix, to be able to identify a guy like Alex Lyon, prior to last season, and bring him in and get a lot out of Alex Lyon, and he turned it into really being the number one in Detroit this season. And they're a team that's playing for their lives at this point. They've got a big game against the Montreal Canadiens tonight, so we'll see what happens there. That's a whole different discussion. What's going on with that last playoff spot in the Eastern Conference? If we have about an hour and a half, we could break that all down.
It's fun, though. Right?
Game 82, and this is. But getting back to it, Anthony Stolars again. Great find from Bill Zito in the hockey operations department, and he was a guy that posted really nice numbers as a backup in Anaheim on teams that were non-playoff teams for the bulk of his time there, that didn't do a whole lot of defending in front of him for a lot of his time there. And he had nice numbers there. So he comes to a team like the Panthers, a veteran team that plays defense, has a structure, expects to win every night. You figure a guy like that's going to come in and thrive, and that's exactly what's happened. So just really cool to be able to see what he's been able to string together this year. And again, I think everybody's just excited to see first how things play out tonight, and then who's going to be on the docket come likely this weekend. We don't know the times, dates, anything like that for game 1, but when things get going for game 83.
Doug Plagens will be on the call tonight. You can hear it on 560 WQAM, 7:30 puck drop.
Sync us up
in Sunrise. Sync them up on TV. That way you listen to Plagens locally and you watch the broadcast.
You get a whistle on the TV. You pause it and then you press play on your TV when you hear that same whistle on the radio, and you'll get us there. The other thing with that eighth spot in the Eastern Conference, there are a lot of different balls in the air. Washington gets a win tonight in any fashion. They play in Philadelphia. The whole conversation's over. The Capitals are the team in the driver's seat. If they get 2 points, doesn't matter how they get it, they are the last team in.
Now, we've had a fascinating conversation for several weeks now about the Marlins and these Whopper Juniors. And
I went the other day. Delightful experience.
He told me. So there's only been one opportunity to cash in on the free Whopper Junior this season. It has to be a home win. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, the Panthers here, any victory gets you the buy one, get one.
At Huey Magoo's the next day, yes.
Which is an excellent promotion. We talked the Heat, have the Papa John's promotion. But the Marlins, they win a home game. You get a free Whopper Junior the next day at any Dade or Broward Burger King. And so there's only been one opportunity, and you cashed in on it.
I did. I went there the other day.
Solana went. He almost got beat up. Jimmy went, had no problems. What was your experience like?
I ordered. I was driving home from the gym. I went on the app.
After the gym, huh?
Yep. Placed the order. Placed the order and went in, got my burger.
So did you have the Burger King app before they unveiled this promotion?
I may have at one point in time, but no, I downloaded it for the promotion.
So did I.
That's a success story. That's what they're trying to accomplish with this.
Absolutely.
People wonder, the whole thing is, I would imagine, I'm not in the meetings where this is being talked about, but traffic driving to the app. Of
course.
So that's the success story.
And it's brilliant. Yep. I did the same thing. And the problem is I live in Palm Beach County. So I would have to drive to the Brow. So it's got to be on a certain situation where I would actually catch.
Where's your first Burger King over the border?
So Deerfield Beach, well, it's actually on Hillsborough Boulevard but it's so far west. It's I think actually Coconut Creek, even though it feels like Deerfield Beach, but it's 14 minutes. Because I looked at the app on Sunday. I was going to go, and I looked at the app. It was 14 minutes each way. I was like,
they won't honor it. You got to befriend a Burger King up there in Palm Beach County.
So I tried to pull a fast one. I went to the promotions, free Whopper Jr., had my location as the Hillsborough Boulevard one, and then I switched locations after I had done it to the one on Federal Highway in Boca, which is, a half a second from me. It immediately knew what I was doing. It gave me the boot. It gave me the boot.
Well, so you missed out on that flame grilled taste. Yeah. I had the flame grilled taste.
Right. So tell me about it.
It was delightful.
You got completely free? Did you? Because obviously they do this for traffic to the app, but they also want to upsell you because they figure, hey, if you're going to go there, you're not just going to get the Whopper
full disclosure.
Jr.
That time I ran in and just grabbed the Whopper Jr.
Good for you. That's exactly what Solana did.
I had already had my big meal of the day. That's what I'm saying. I was on the way home from the gym. I had a big lunch. I didn't feel like much. I was like, I'll get the free Whopper
Jr.
Did you
go in or through the drive-through?
I went in and picked it up.
Was it ready for you off to the side, or you had to wait in line?
Well, it wasn't. But in their defense, I knew that I hit order and walked in. Like I didn't allow enough time. I knew there was going to be.
And they didn't try to upsell you or anything. It was like, no. Hey, you got the free Whopper.
It was the one right here by Sawgrass Mills. Pleasant experience. I was
going to go before
great
the show today.
Staff. The place was super clean, immaculate. I'll be going back.
And so what did you get? The way that it comes, or did you personalize?
No mayo, no onion, threw a little mustard on there. That was I like mustard and ketchup on my burger. Don't really care for mayo on my burger. Don't like onion unless it's the grilled stuff from In-N-Out.
Yeah. You go inside of fast food places?
Yeah, I'm not I've told you that I'm not a drive-through guy.
But you sit down and dine?
Often, yes.
Yeah.
Why?
I've said
for the free refills.
That's a great call.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great call.
You know me. I drink. They give me a fountain drink in the drive-through. That thing's gone before I pull out of the street. I need to be able to refill that thing because I just consume a lot of liquid.
I've said to Crowder, I told him yesterday, the only way to eat Taco Bell is in the dining room.
Taco Bell is best on site for sure.
For sure.
I went yesterday, but you've got to eat that in the dining room.
Because if you try to take it home,
it doesn't
good. Travel.
It's good, but it's great on site.
It's great on site.
Yes.
And we're looking for great. He's 100% right on this.
It is.
Taco Bell is great.
I'm not a big delivery guy either. I can't tell you the last time I got food delivered because I want to go get my food personally. I don't
You don't need the middleman.
I don't need the middleman.
Yeah.
I want to get it personally. And usually I'm a for here guy, not a to-go guy.
It's like a gadget play, Why do you need the receiver touching the ball before the pass takes place? You just want the quarterback to pass the ball. You don't need.
It's not a flea flicker.
Exactly.
I think it's called convenience.
They should call Uber Eats the flea flicker.
Convenience. Hey, Doug, have you ever heard Broward County called the Brow?
That was a first.
Yeah. It's the first for everyone, but it's not called.
I will take credit for that. Absolutely. Thank you, Crowder.
You've created that.
Yes. Yeah. Crowder has a beef with Drake.
Really?
Yeah.
Right here in this arena, Amerant Arena, the Drake concert like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
He was flying around.
Prominent musical artist of the era.
Yeah, very.
He's halfway through the show. He gets in a cage and they fly him around the whole arena and he points to the box. I'm not even by the stage. I'm in the box. Points to the box and says, "Oh, the lady in the green, she's fine as hell. What's up?" And it was my wife. So I had to call him out and say, "Drake, meet me in the parking lot. You got to see me."
Where'd you call him out? What?
Twitter.
Okay.
And now it's gotten picked up by several media outlets.
Oh, really?
Complex, which has over 2 million followers, is reporting on the Drake Crowder beef. What would you do in that situation? Because I was saying if Drake called out my wife, I would probably DM him for his address and drop her off.
I wouldn't go that far. I would probably just I would probably just assume it's part of the show. It was going to happen to somebody. And
in fact, if anybody wants her, just DM me your address.
But Doug, there's certain, I think it's a lost art in this day and age. Some people need to get their ass whooped.
So it sounds like your issues with Drake ran deeper than just this incident. It sounds like this may have been what pushed it over the edge, but things were festering for a long time. They were bubbling up.
I just think nobody catches butt whoopings like they did.
Doug Plagens will give out a butt whooping.
That's what I thought. You're on my side.
Trust me.
Special guest referee.
Show up at that Burger King and don't have his Whopper Jr. ready.
Oh, he's over.
He'll be laying fists. All right, Doug Plagens, listen to him tonight, 560 WQAM, game 82, and it means something. Should be fun here tonight at the Amerant Bank Arena in Sunrise in the heart of Western the Brow. Thank you, Doug. Have a good broadcast.
Thank you very much.